Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Whitaker, empowerment strategist and woo world changer. And in my work, I help my clients process and heal from emotional wounds and invisible injuries that block our spiritual connection to self, or self with a capital S, or higher self, whatever you want to call it. I straddle the line between the science and the woo-woo in my work, and I do the same thing in my personal life. And that's why I'm here today, is to talk about a personal practice that I've had most of my life. And it's living in accordance with the Farmer's Almanac perspective and view of the moon and the sun and the cycles of the moon. And today I'm back to do another video blog post on the new moon in Gemini and the annular solar eclipse that accompanies it. And that's happening June 10th. So it's coming up quickly. Annular simply means ring-shaped, and sometimes annular solar eclipses are referred to as ring of fire solar eclipses because it just looks like a ring or a ring-shaped eclipse. Um, the moon and the sun in June, well, for the new moon event, are in conjunction in Gemini. Now, I explained conjunction last month, so if you don't recall, go to my YouTube channel and go back and watch the video titled May 2021 New Moon for a more detailed explanation. So new moons are one of my favorite topics to discuss because when the sun and the moon are in conjunction, it's a really great time to work with the area of the body that that particular zodiac sign influences or rules over. So the sign of Gemini influences the shoulders, the arms, the hands, the bronchial tubes, the lungs, the nervous system connections for sensory motor skills, and the blood capillary exchange system, which is the exchange of nutrients and waste between the blood and the tissues, or the cells in our tissues. And because of the solar eclipse that I'm going to talk about in more detail in a couple minutes, because of the solar eclipse, this is a perfect opportunity to work on the subtleties of what's being influenced by Gemini. So I'm going to talk about what's most subtle, and that's that blood capillary exchange system. But I'm going to expand it out a little bit beyond the physical body into the emotional, spiritual, and mental bodies, and talk about that exchange system from a more holistic perspective. So this is a great time to look at that exchange system on all levels. Are you taking in too much and not releasing enough? And what happens when you take in too much and you don't release, or you take in the good stuff, but you don't release the waste? That can lead to toxicity, that can lead to anger, feelings of unfulfillment, aggression, competition, zero-sum games. So hoarding the good stuff could also mean that you're not actually receiving nourishment or the benefits from what you have, because the more you have, the less likely you are to actually use what you have. So it's just sitting there not being used. So what are you getting from it? So if that's the case, what are you holding on to that you're not getting any nourishment from? And on the flip side of that, are you releasing or letting go of too much? Giving away too much of yourself and not keeping enough of your own nourishment, or keeping enough that you need to keep yourself going and keep your own head above water. So if you're always giving away of yourself and you're not keeping anything for yourself, you might feel depleted, exhausted, fatigued, overwhelmed, stuck in procrastination, and really even anxious or worried. So it'll be important to work with the subtleties of these various exchange systems in our being before diving into bigger issues like the shoulders or the lungs or the bronchial tubes. Because without balance and awareness of the receiving and giving in our exchange systems, which are super subtle systems, by the way, if those are out of balance, it'll be incredibly difficult to actually accomplish your goals or move forward to get unstuck in life. So think about a leaf or a flower petal and how sometimes the most delicate edges start to wilt, and then it slowly works its way and eats its way inward until there's nothing left of the flower petal or nothing left of the leaf. That's how these subtle things are if we're not aware of them. They slowly eat away from those most delicate edges inward. Now, let's talk about the solar eclipse, because the solar eclipse is what makes this month so important to work on these subtle systems. And solar eclipses never happen alone. They're either right before or right after a lunar eclipse. And the two together provide huge opportunities to align the internal and the external, or the being with the doing, the masculine with the feminine. And the sun is masculine, the moon is feminine. So whenever they come together, and you think about the feminine obscuring the masculine right now. So we've got this overlap of emotion or being with doing and manifesting. And so in order to manifest what we want, we've got to get these subtle systems in balance. Otherwise, we're going to manifest all kinds of crap in our life that we don't intend. So the new moon with the solar eclipse is a really great time to align with your core values and make sure that your actions, your words, your work, what you are doing in the world is a direct reflection and integrity with your own core values, because that's where things don't manifest the way we want, is when our doing doesn't align with our values. So I'm gifting everybody, if you look in the links below, a couple years ago, I wrote an ebook called Your Life GPS System. And that is all about figuring out your core values and assessing whether or not what you're doing in life is aligning with your core values. So I dug that out, wiped off the cobwebs, and there is a free ebook for all of you. Please take advantage of it. So during your rituals this month, it's a great time to hold space for your own emotions and decipher what they're really trying to communicate to you, because your emotions will be your gauge in discerning and making decisions right now. Now, a word of caution: take qualifying labels out of the equation here, because this is a time with this eclipse where you might see an unexpected opportunity or a new beginning that you didn't foresee coming might happen. And when I say qualifying labels, let's not jump to the conclusion that all new beginnings are good or all unexpected opportunities are positive or good things, because positive and good are words that are loaded with judgment. So let's take those out of the equation so you can go in, and the question to ask yourself is, does this unexpected opportunity align with my core values? And your emotions will be the gauge between the two to let you know. Now, another caveat or word of caution here is, don't get swept away by your emotions. Hold space for your emotions. What that means is, don't step into this with, I'm angry, as your emotion. Step into this as, I'm experiencing anger in this moment, as your emotion. If you're experiencing anger in the moment, then that is expressing the capacity to hold space for that emotion and to get to the bottom of what's the message that it's really trying to tell you, versus I'm angry, then you're swept away by your emotions. So if you have a tendency to get swept away, the energies this month might be a bumpy ride, white knuckle ride for you. And if you have that capacity to have patience with your emotions and just experience them without being taken over by them, this is going to be a smoother ride, and things are really going to start to come into clarity for you. That's what I have to say about this new moon. And I really hope that you will join the conversation on Clubhouse in the Moon Rituals for Anyone room. There's a link below. That room is happening Tuesday, June 8th at noon Eastern time. And here there's a link to join. And if you found this information to be informative and helpful, please comment below and let me know how it helped you. I can't wait to hear from you. Be sure to share and subscribe, and don't miss the next moon blog that's coming up in a couple weeks when I talk about June's full moon. So have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you on Clubhouse.